So again, this is where our intro song will roll. We'll get to it next week.
It's going to be so good.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dipped in Tone, episode 3. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
Man, 2 episodes. We're 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, we keep getting closer and closer to the day we post it.
Yeah. We keep inching in closer and closer. It's like, are you free tomorrow? No, I can't do tomorrow. Can you do? Oh, yeah, we can do Friday. Okay.
I was telling Morgan, I was like, if we don't do it today, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, and if we can't do it tomorrow, we'll probably do it Monday morning, and then
we'll just do it Monday. Dude, Tilly and I did that for the Backstage Journal pod yesterday on
really?
Thursday. We just recorded it and put it up.
Nice.
I mean, it's fine.
I finally messed around with like getting the audio thing set up because I was looking at it. I was like, oh, I don't think this is as hard as I thought. And I posted it, but I don't know how long it's going to take to like get on the internet. So
where all did you post it? Because we should tell the people.
It said everywhere. Well, like Apple, Spotify.
So I'm assuming that's Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all that stuff.
Yeah, pretty much everything was selected.
Okay, good.
So
now we're in audio form, apparently.
Eventually.
You can not just watch us on YouTube, but you can hear us, our beautiful voices, in audio land, wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.
Right. Or you just go to a YouTube to MP3 website and like put the link and then download it and then put it on your phone.
Yeah.
Or
you can use one of those old school iPod 30-pin cables, the USB cable, and like just sync it to your phone. Remember when you had to do that, you actually had to plug your iPod or your first iPhone into your computer to like update it and stuff.
Oh yeah. Do you remember seeing like the very first iPod?
Yeah. No, I remember where I was the first time I saw it.
Me too. Where were you?
Oh my God. I was it was the summer between my 8th grade and freshman year, and I played football that season for some unknown reason. I think my parents like kind of just signed me up for it.
Right.
And we had football camp, which is the worst thing in the world.
I went to band camp, so I can sympathize.
It sucks. It's like, hey, let's go to Middle Georgia in August, which is the hottest place on earth. It is hotter than hell in the middle of Georgia. It's some small college for a week, and we're going to get up at 5:30 every morning. You're going to get up and give yourself brain damage from 5:30 in the morning till about 8:30 at night, and because sports.
That's it, man.
That was it. But one of the kids I went to that camp with had one of the first iPods, and I remember he like pulled it out. We were in the dorm room, and I was like, "Whoa!" It blew my mind that you could like spin the thing, but it didn't actually move. But
oh man,
yeah.
I saw it. I was in college, and I was in like my freshman year. I think I was in a choir class because like anything I could do to get an elective and not have to like study, I was all about that.
Yep.
And one of my buddies had one, and like it had the buttons on the top.
Yep.
And I was like, this is gonna change the world.
It will hold 1,000 songs, dude. I don't even know 1,000 songs.
It seems so just ancient now. I mean, considering like literally everything is at our fingertips now. Like everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for
we're
Taylor
speaking
Swift
over
on
the internet
Spotify.
and recording a podcast, which didn't exist then.
What's a podcast?
What's a podcast? Weird. Anyways, so this is Dipped in Tone. Thanks, everyone, we should flash the logo. We got the logo. Are we ready to show that?
I don't know if it's completely done yet. Maybe.
Okay, we'll flash the logo next week. You'll see it. I'm real excited about it. It's cool. We're going to have it on some merch.
Yes.
Also, there's a Patreon now.
There is a Patreon. It's it'll be in the description because it's just Dipped in Tone.
Yeah.
Probably Dipped in
Tone.
There's
right now I think there's just one level of support, and it's a way to one of the things we want to start doing. There's a reason for the Patreon actually, and it's not just, so hey, give us money.
Right.
It's we want to start doing things where we go out and just buy pieces of gear to talk about and play and sort of review them, and then we'll give them away to the patrons. I know a couple other podcasts out there, some YouTube channels do that, and I like that model. I think it's cool. So
yeah, it's again, we're not trying to get rich off of this. It's just like to pay for the hosting of the podcast, and that's basically it.
Just the hosting.
and then to get gear to like do funny stuff and give it back away, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's it. You can follow the link in the description for that.
Yep.
What's been going on for you this week, Zach? What's up? What's new?
I have just been trying to get Mythos a little bit more streamlined, and I got a bunch of prototype circuit boards and enclosures, and they're just gonna hopefully make my life easier because I'm gonna start getting help, and that's been the biggest thing, just like trying to like get caught up because I mean, you know, it's like you can never catch a break, and when you finally do get a break, you're like, I should probably be working.
Yeah. I don't do vacations or anything like that very well. I don't take time off. If I'm like just even relaxing around the house, it stresses me out. I need to be doing something.
Oh yeah. Last night I was, we were just sitting on the couch and I was like, I think I can figure out this podcast thing. And so it was like, 11:30 and Morgan's just rolling her eyes at me, but I can't get it out of my system until it's done. So
yeah, we're definitely cut from the same cloth on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think, you know what? I think it's a good thing because it keeps you, I think in order to do this kind of thing for a living, like owning your own company or running a YouTube channel, but any kind of like self-employed where you are accountable, solely accountable for the success or failure of whatever you're doing, I think you kind of have to have that sort of personality type to make that work, in my opinion. It's that like always wanting to drive and do better and get new things done and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm definitely that same way about the YouTube channel. It's like, I just put a video out the other day and it's doing really well. And
the Dumble one?
I felt good about it for like a day, and now I'm like, all right, got to do the next thing. Well, tomorrow's the show. But after that, it'll be the next thing,
But it's so funny about you with the videos. It's like you'll text me an idea, and then like literally 1 or 2 days later, like that video is up, and I'm like, how does he actualize that quickly?
Yeah, I told you about the Dumble thing, right? The Dumble video. Yeah.
And then literally the next day, it was like, oh, that video's already done.
Yeah, it worked fast, man. And yeah, that video was a ton of fun. Actually, I don't have the amp in here. That was a ton of fun to make. So we should talk about that a little bit. There's a couple things that we're going to cover in this episode that I'm really excited about. But
yeah, we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants on this one because we didn't even talk about what we're going to talk about that much.
It's fine, man. It's fine. We're not concerned with lists and schedules and agendas and all that kind of stuff, man. We ain't got no agenda.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I had a pretty eventful week myself.
Oh, yes.
Tomorrow is, so when you guys are seeing this show will have already happened, but tomorrow is Backstage Live episode 3 on the main YouTube channel. And I've learned, being our third one, I've kind of learned how these things go. And the week leading up to the live show is always just crazy because you're trying to get rehearsals done. You're trying to get the show prepped and get everybody ready to go while trying to make the videos and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I've not slept much this week. I've been stressed out of my mind this week. I finally understand. So I've been a hired gun player pretty much my entire career. I've worked for other people. I've worked for artists. And I've always felt invested in what I was doing and invested in the music we were playing. But at the end of the day, it was never like my name on the marquee.
Right.
And so I would be bummed if we had, we played a venue and it wasn't full, or we played an empty room. And I'd be excited if we played a full room or whatever. But it's a different thing now. I feel more in the driver's seat in terms of like, I'm not an artist or anything like that, but this is kind of my baby. It's my thing. And so there's a lot of stress and anxiety based around like, man, I hope people watch it. I hope people like it. I hope it sounds good. I hope it works.
Man, it like the first one, because I was actually out of town, but I knew it was happening, so I like busted out the laptop and like started playing it, and I was just sitting there watching it with a buddy, and he was like, this is live? He was like really shocked, and I was too, because like the production is it's insane for, like to me, like just you guys are doing it basically in a basement, like, a nice basement, but a basement.
It's a basement. Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten a couple, when I rewatch it with the live chat replay, that's always my favorite thing to do because you see people's reactions in real time. It's really weird playing a show with a full band in just to nobody. We have no
Right.
audience or anything here in the basement because of social distancing guidelines. Hopefully that'll change at some point. We can actually have people over.
Yeah.
But you get done with a song and it's just you in the basement. So when you get to rewatch it back with all the live chat replay, it's really cool because it actually gives you more of a feeling of people like responding to the music.
Right.
But in the second episode, there were people that were commenting like, don't donate to these guys. They're jerks. They're lying. This is pre-recorded. There's no way this is live. These guys are frauds, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, we're gonna do something special on this episode that hopefully will prove the fact that we're actually live and we're really doing it. But yeah.
Yeah, like you could live tweet it in between songs.
Yeah. There's everyone complains, man. There's always someone complaining.
Oh my gosh.
It's never good enough.
I don't understand that mentality, like, because I'm so different from that. I can't, like, I just, like, don't see the world that way. And I don't understand how people can live their life and be, like, fulfilled when there's always, like, something that's irking them about everything.
Well, they're not fulfilled. That's the reason they're doing it. Like, that's the whole reason. Here's the deal. If you don't have anything to add, this is my social media strategy for commenting and, like, being present on social media. If I'm not adding anything to the conversation, I just don't say anything. Because I see stuff around. I see videos and whatever around that I'm just not a fan of. I don't like it and everything. It's fine. I've got taste and everything, just like in opinions like everyone else. Mm-hmm. But when I don't like something, I don't take to the keyboard and tell that person who made that thing how much I hate the thing that they made.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not for me, and that's fine. Not everything is for me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. People are odd. They're just so odd. And it's like, I mean, the internet has obviously made it worse, but it's just like, you wouldn't, like, walk into a restaurant that, like, served food you didn't like and just yell at the staff.
Yeah.
Like, why would you get so mad on the internet? I don't know. But
yeah. It's like, would you ever walk to the chef and be like, I didn't like this, and in fact, it was so bad that I'm offended, and you should think about another career path because you are so bad at what you do.
Right. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No one would do that in person.
No,
So
just on Yelp.
yeah, just on Yelp. They can hide behind their username. In other news this week, got
Look at that.
Just look
The
at
strap.
Oh my god! There we go. Look at that. This is my my new Wide Sky.
It's super cool.
Man, I'm really excited to have this. Patch, the owner and builder of Wide Sky, has become a friend over the last year, and I ordered this back in January, and I just got it this week. Patch it's just him building these things out in Taos, New Mexico, and it's a really special guitar, man. It's completely different than anything I've owned or have played before. It's crazy.
Is it full hollow?
No, it's semi-hollow.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually really thin. I don't know if you can see that. It's really light. So it's a little smaller than a Les Paul. It's kind of a Les Paul shape, but it's a little smaller here and here. It's semi-hollow. Curtis Novak pickups. Novak humbucker and P90. And we're going to play a little bit here in a minute.
Yeah, eventually.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
So,
well, I finally got a new computer, so now I can do more than one thing at a time.
yeah. New Gear Week, man. Always a good time. All right, so first topic. Like I said, like you said, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. But
yeah.
I sent you. Did you see the New York Times article that I sent you this week?
Yes.
Guitar is back, baby. That title cracks me up. But according to the New York Times, the pandemic has caused a bit of a guitar boom. Now, I talked about this on my podcast, Backstage Journal, with Tilly the other day, and we kind of approached the topic from, talking about it from kind of a cultural perspective. Tilly's not a guitar player, and we talked about it from somebody who might be interested in getting into guitar and everything. But I want to hear your thoughts on this from a gear perspective and a manufacturing perspective. Guitars and guitar sales have exploded since March. I've personally talked to, you and I have talked about this. Your business is doing really, really well.
It's crazy.
I've talked to stores around here. Righteous Guitars can't keep stuff in stock. Novo can't keep stuff in stock. I mean, they never could to begin with, but
Right.
it's crazy, man. Like there is a massive guitar boom happening.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I think, a lot of it is people just haven't been able to leave their house, and now they can finally like pursue those hobbies. And I think if you looked at like everything, we would probably see like significant growth in a lot of like markets, because so many things are hard to find right now. That's not just guitar, but it's just, I don't know. It's like ripe for people to learn in this, like, for this year, because they've just been so trapped, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what is causing it necessarily. Like, cause it's not just because people are trapped at home. Like, what has been the catalyst for so many people to say, I want to start playing guitar? Where is that coming from? That's something that I don't really understand. Like, I understand why my business is doing well, because like people who already play can't leave, and they're bored and they want more stuff, and
Right.
and they're watching videos, and they're like doing more things online. But like for the beginner, you know, and maybe it's that people that are buying the guitars already have a guitar. I don't know.
Well, so according to the article, we'll have it linked in the description box down below so you can check it out and read it. It's really fascinating, and they give some good data on who's buying the guitars and everything. It seems to be primarily on a generational level. It's primarily millennial and Gen Z, right? That's the one after us, right?
The younger
Millennial
than
and Gen
us.
Z, or Y.
I don't know. They're younger than us. Like,
Yeah, the post-millennial generation,
okay,
whatever that is.
Yeah.
So it's primarily millennials, you and I, and then the people slightly younger than us. Acoustic guitars are the most popular, which doesn't surprise me. I think acoustics are the first choice for a lot of people who are picking up guitar, especially nowadays, because there isn't really any popular pop culture guitar heroes that are super relevant right now. There are no Mayer is not even that culturally relevant at the moment.
Right.
Taylor Swift isn't really playing guitar as much publicly as far as I know.
Yeah.
So, I think people are listening to their Ed Sheerans and things like that, and they're picking up acoustic guitars. Also, I think from a practical perspective, someone who's a total beginner is going to look at an acoustic versus an electric and say, well, with an acoustic, I just have to buy the one guitar.
Right.
With an electric, I got to get this amp thing, and I got to have apparently a cable and then there's all these like weird boxes that you put on the floor and they make noise. There's all kinds of extra shit to go with it.
You got to plug it to the wall.
My question though is, of the people that are picking it up now, how many are actually going to stick with it once things get back to normal?
I've thought that myself, because like, I even when I was learning, and that was 21 years ago almost, like when I started, I had severe burnout like at the beginning. Like I played guitar like super into it. I was super excited, and then I didn't touch it for like months. And I think that we're going to see a lot of like people just shoveling it under the bed. There's going to be a lot of like inexpensive guitars on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace in a couple of years' time.
I think in a couple months' time, man. If you're a used guitar or used gear person, you give this a couple months, and you're gonna start to see stuff pop up on Reverb and eBay and Craigslist for pretty good deals, I think.
But one of the things that we saw was Fender Guitars has recorded more sales this year than any other year in their history, right?
Yeah. Crazy. And they
So
quoted
crazy.
one of the Sweetwater sales people as saying it's, according to their numbers, Sweetwater was saying it's like every day is Black Friday for them.
Man,
It's crazy.
it's so crazy.
Which is crazy. So on one hand, that's really good, right? As guitar players and people in the guitar industry, I think it's really cool. There's a lot of new people coming in, and a certain percentage of those people, it may be 70%, it may be 30%, I don't know, are going to stick with it and become lifelong players, which is great. And if by some chance you are one of those people and you've made it deep enough down the guitar rabbit hole YouTube niche that you found our channel, welcome. We'll be beginner friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, and I've actually thought about starting to make more beginner videos on my channel to try and appeal to those new people, you know.
Right. Well, I think, a lot of the guys that do that are finding like a lot of great success right now. A lot of great success. Jeez.
Great success.
In the last podcast, I said something really stupid, and Morgan has been making fun of me like every day because of it. So
What did you say?
I'll have to find it and quote it in the thing below. It was like guilty until proven otherwise, I think is what I said.
That's guilty until proven otherwise. You're not wrong. I mean, that's kind of how that saying goes.
It's not the saying though, and it's like it's stupid.
So, I mean, look, man, I think it's a really good thing. And the other thing that I talked to Tilly about, which I thought was cool, is there's people now that are picking up guitar that in 10, 15 years are going to be the next generation of artists and people that are, out there playing at the Grammys and stuff. Like there are young kids picking up guitar now that are going to be the next generation of artists. And what's happening now, which part of the reason this is so exciting to me, if I can organize my thoughts, this boom that's happening now is going to have ripples and repercussions years and years and years down the road in the music world. There are people that are picking up the instrument now that are going to help keep it relevant for future generations.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's one good thing to come out of all this tragedy, basically.
It's a silver lining for sure. But again, man, I think that the other side of it too is because people aren't really into, and by what I'm speaking on a very broad general scale here, but generally speaking, I think a lot of the people that are picking up these guitars now are not necessarily interested in learning Zeppelin or Clapton or the Beatles or whatever, right? Which to me, on one hand, is sad. I think a lot of those people will find it eventually. Yeah. But on the other hand, that just means this is going to help push the instrument and the sound forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy exciting. So.
Yeah. We're just riveted, as you can tell, by our faces and tones of voice.
It's been a long week.
So. Yeah. It has been a long week. Yeah. So that's interesting. We want to know what you guys think though, in the description box down below, or not the description box, the comment box. I sound like I'm signing off of one of my damn videos.
They log in and they change the description of our.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this though? We like having the discussion,
Yeah.
Is this a good thing for guitar? If you don't think this is a good thing, I want to hear your perspective. I'm specifically interested in hearing people that think this isn't a good thing for the guitar.
Yeah,
world.
I think an argument against would be a lot more interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're both in agreement here. So
yeah. That's boring.
That's super boring. There was another topic that the Casino Guitars video.
Yes.
We got to talk about that.
Sure. So Casino Guitars is a small shop. I think they're in North Carolina. And I think they're actually in an old casino, which is kind of like cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But they're trying to get their YouTube game up, and they do some good videos, and they have like cool gear at their shop. But they posted a video that was kind of like, I should pull up what the actual like name of the video was, but basically talking about paid gear reviews, and is it disingenuous, like and they kind of brought to light some things that I don't think a lot of people were necessarily privy to about how much these things can cost, like to actually pay for a pedal demo or a gear demo in general. Payola, paying for pedal and gear reviews. And they were saying that there's demoers out there charging upwards of $10,000.
Okay, now that I have to take issue with. So I did watch the video.
Well, someone told them that, apparently.
I didn't hear you. Dropped out for a second.
They said someone told them that someone is asking that amount.
There's no, and I say this, I like their YouTube channel, and I've met those guys at NAMM before. They seem super cool. So this is in no way like trying to bash them, but I think that they're way off base with that $10,000 number. I don't know who they heard that from and who that person might have been talking about, but there's just no way. There's no way any YouTube channel out there is making $10,000 for a gear demo video, no matter how big your channel is.
No.
Like there's just no way. That number is so high.
Yeah, very, very skewed. And, apart from that, really, I mean, the video's touching on things that that I agree with about, it does seem to be a little bit unfair, or disingenuous, I think is the best word that I can use for it. But I will say this too, because I have had probably more interactions than most with YouTubers and trying to pay for stuff, and whether I did it or not is neither here nor there. But most of the guys that make these demos, they say they only really play gear they like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that a lot of people think, oh, they're getting paid, they're going to make demos of everything, regardless of how good it is or not. But most of the guys they say, if I don't like it, you're going to get it back. I'm not going to make a video for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, this is interesting because we come from sort of both sides of the spectrum here, right? You're a gear manufacturer and I'm a YouTuber. So in full transparency, I 9 times out of 10 don't do any kind of paid or sponsored videos at all. And I don't really do gear demos just because frankly I don't think gear demo videos are interesting, and I don't watch demo videos, and I'm not interested in making demos. If I'm going to make a video about a piece of gear, I'm going to try and find a way to wrap it up in. Okay, so a perfect example is the video I put out this week, the Dumble. What is the Dumble sound?
Right.
So that video came about because Amplified Nation sent me that amp just to check out. There was no discussion of, hey, we need you to do a video. Hey, I'm going to pay you this much to say these things about my amp. There's no money changing hands. I'm going to send that amp back. I just wanted to check them out. I'd seen RJ Ronquillo's videos on them. They seemed great.
Yeah.
And when I got that amp, I started playing it and was genuinely impressed with the way the amp sounded. I like it. I'm playing it on the show tomorrow.
They're great.
And I realized I've never made a video about Dumbles. I've never really had a Dumble amp here. And so this might be cool. What is the Dumble sound? And so that piece of gear facilitated that video for me. The other side of it is I've been offered to be paid to make videos before. The most recent example would have been the Torpedo Captor X behind me here. Two Notes, great company. I really like those guys. When the Captor X was coming out, we were in talks of like, hey, what's your rate to do a video? And I told them, it's like, I don't do demos. It's not going to be a demo video. If you're going to pay me to make a video, I'm not going to talk about how great your product is, but I'll use your product to teach an idea. And the idea at the time was, okay, here's everything you need to know about impulse responses. But as we got further down the line, if a company's paying, and the price I quoted them for the video was about, I think it was $1,500, either $1,500 or $2,000 for the video, which for me, I feel like is fair. To make one of my videos usually is 2 days, a day and a half, 2 days worth of work. I have a channel that gets a lot of engagement compared to other channels in the guitar space, and so I felt that that's a fair price. We agreed on that price, and once I got into the process of making the video, they rightfully so were like, hey, we want to see the video first to make some revisions. If needed, we want to make sure you talk about these things, and we want to make sure that you highlight these things about our piece of gear, which is fair, right? They're offering to pay for placement on my YouTube channel, but I don't like that. I'm not the type of person to be told how to make something and what I should or shouldn't say in a video. And so what I just kind of came back to them and said, hey guys, look, forget the money. Don't pay me. Just let me keep the Torpedo. I like it. It's a good piece of gear. I genuinely like it. And I'll make a video talking about it because it's a cool new piece of gear. And in return for not paying me, I'm going to say whatever I want to say about it. And I'm going to make the video however I want to make it.
Yeah.
And they were cool with that.
Yeah.
So there's always this weird tension that I have when talking about a piece of gear. Like this Wide Sky is a perfect example. I met Patch last year. We hit it off. We developed a relationship. And in full transparency, I did not pay for that Wide Sky. I ordered it, and he built it for me at no cost.
Yeah.
Incredible honor and a privilege. But I'm not going to sit and just sing its praises and talk about all the great things and, everyone should go buy a Wide Sky and blah, blah, blah. No, it's a really great guitar that I loved, and I really like the builder, and he knows that I'll be playing it publicly and it'll be seen, and it's a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
So yeah.
I totally agree with with everything you're saying, but we're both very much on the same page about this, because you and I have talked about since we met about how the demo scene on YouTube is pretty much dead, at least in our eyes, or at least, I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Because there are guys that are an exception to the rule. I think RJ is incredible because he's the thing that most demoers fall victim to. And I left a comment about this, and there's some YouTubers leaving some comments, and we were talking today about it. But I said it all basically sounds the same, because unless you are playing to the pedal or the amp or the guitar and mixing it up, it's just you playing another piece of gear just like you. And that, in my opinion, doesn't sell anything. It doesn't inspire anyone. It just sounds like every other thing you've ever done. And granted, you're hearing a player, and
right.
with some demoers who have been online for years, I see new videos from them, and unless it is something really wacky and out there, it just sounds like another. It could be anything.
Right.
But then RJ, you give him a piece of gear, he's gonna play it either how he thinks it should be played, or how you tell him this is really inspired by X, and he'll just go down that rabbit hole and do it that way. And that kind of falls back to what we were talking about last week with the pickups, But I just don't see any value in the classic, video of an amp, guy playing same blues rock riffs, unless it's me, the manufacturer, saying this is what it sounds like, this is how I made it to sound like that. I think is fine, but paying for that, I don't think it's worth it anymore. Not at all.
Well, and a lot of manufacturers are starting to produce their own demo videos, which I think is what should be done regardless. Because if I'm in the market for a piece of gear and I go to look up a video, what does this pedal sound like? I think the manufacturer should post that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
they know what it's supposed to sound like, or what they wanted it to sound like. They know what it was inspired by or what it wasn't inspired by, so on and so forth. But I completely agree with you about RJ, and Pete Thorne. I would put RJ and Pete Thorne at the top of the heap of the gear demo guys.
I disagree about Pete. So,
really?
Yeah, I think he's incredible. I do think he's amazing, but I think all his videos sound very samey. Really samey.
I like Pete because he was one of the first guitar guys I started watching on YouTube years and years ago.
Yeah.
I love his playing.
Yeah.
But to me, RJ definitely does the thing that you're talking about. RJ is without a doubt one of the best guitar players I've ever known. I mean, he's
crazy.
It's maddening how good he is and how effortless it is for him, and how he can just kind of just seamlessly flow between styles of playing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I really like Pete, also because of who Pete has played with and played with Chris Cornell and Melissa Etheridge and all these great. His career has been amazing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a weird subject, man. And this subject is a sore spot for a lot of people. I think most people understand, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so-and-so sent this pedal to the YouTuber and it's showing up in a video. Okay, I get it. I can, form my own opinions about a piece of gear regardless of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Some people, though, see it as like a personal attack or an affront on them that you're trying to, you know, I don't know
Like,
what they think.
pull the wool
And
over their eyes or something.
yeah, and I'm just talking based on what I've seen in my comment sections before with stuff. It's like that I'm trying to sell something or trick them into buying something or whatever. And yeah, it's just an interesting it's just an interesting thing. And the other thing that I'll say about the way that my channel works is even if I like a piece of gear, I may not ever make a video with it.
Right.
In the Casino Guitars video, I commented on it, and somebody responded to my comment. They're like, oh, well, they said something about the Line 6 power cab, and I was like, well, I guess because you didn't make a power cab video, it's clear that you don't like it. And I responded, I said, no, I actually do like the power cab. I like it a lot. But
it was in a bunch of your videos, to be fair.
Yeah, right. But I've never made like a power cab video, I think was this guy's point. And the reason is because I don't really think there's a big audience for a power cab video. And I'm not interested in spending a couple dozen hours of work on a video that's going to go to a niche within a niche within a niche audience.
Yeah.
And most people aren't going to care about it. To me, that's not a worthwhile investment of my time.
Absolutely.
And when a gear company emails me on a weekly basis, I have, it's almost a canned response that I have now. If somebody emails me, hey, will you demo our product, or what's your rate to demo our product? I don't do paid demos. I don't do paid reviews. If you send me the piece of gear and I like it and it's something I would actually use, then I will generally find a way to feature it in a video.
Sure.
And that could be it shows up alongside something else, like, hey, here's this pedal I'm using and I think it works with this concept. Or like the Dumble video, hey, this piece of gear is really good and I'm really enjoying it. So it's inspired me to do a whole video and now, wow, launch a whole series based off of what this video's done.
Right. Here's a question for you, and this is something I think about a lot. I mean, mainly with new releases. You see this a lot where when a new product, doesn't have to be a pedal, it could be anything, comes out and just YouTube, Instagram, everything is blanketed with video demos, pictures, all this. To me, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's probably really effective. I know it's incredibly expensive. Like, talk about spending $10K like that, you know, but to me, I think that's kind of the wrong way to go about releasing a product. I think, you know, the trickle effect really will get more long-term interaction, but I mean, what do you think it's better to have everything hit all at once, or?
Well, it's funny you say that because I got a piece of gear in the mail yesterday that you know about it.
I know what it is.
Yeah. A piece of gear in the mail yesterday that's going to be announced soon, that I think the strategy of this company is that it's the sort of, and they sent it to me early. And this is a perfect example. Okay. So the company reached out to me and said, hey, we have this new thing that I think you will like. We're going to send it to you. Okay, cool. Don't say anything about it until this date.
Right.
Okay, cool. End of conversation. Like there was no, and then it showed up in my mailbox. There was no, hey, we want you to make a video about it. Hey, can you say this about it? Hey, can you do this? And we're going to pay you this much. No, that was it. So that's probably what's going to happen. And I agree. It's effective, right? Because there's a hype built around it. There's a lot of people see it on Instagram, then they go to YouTube and they watch all the videos on it. This happens in the camera world all the time. Like, I don't know if you watch any of like the camera photography YouTube channels, but major, like Sony just did this with the A7S III a couple weeks ago. When the S3 launched, it was like every camera YouTuber, filmmaker YouTuber all dropped their S3 videos right at the same time.
Right.
And to me, it was like effective because, oh shit, this camera that I've been waiting on for 5 years finally dropped. That's
Where's my
super
wallet?
cool. And then that was it. I didn't watch any of the videos. I didn't like go buy one or whatever. So I think you're right. I think, you know, I probably won't make a video about X piece of gear to drop on their release day.
Right.
Because it's just, the piece of gear is cool. I've been playing it a little bit. My initial impressions on it are, it's cool.
Right.
would I buy it on my own outside of YouTube? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I need to spend more time with it, which means I'm probably not going to make a video on it talking about how amazing or whatever it is,
Right. Yeah. Well, I this is just one of those weird topics that I think is something we should have more conversations about.
Yeah.
In the guitar community, because I think it's good to let everyone understand like where companies are coming from. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting topic, but I think transparency is the best policy. And the thing I always revert back to is like, man, because I've taken heat about this. I think all guitar YouTubers who talk about gear. I know Mary Spender is taking heat about this stuff. I know Paul Davids is taking heat about this stuff. If you really think that we're trying to be fraudulent or pull a fast one on you or whatever, just don't watch the videos, man.
Right.
Don't watch my channel. It's totally cool. I just don't make content for you.
Well, and
totally
now
fine.
don't you have to put like paid promotion or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. If you're paid for, it's a new thing that when you upload a video now in the upload window, does this video include paid promotion? And I think it's obviously, YouTube didn't implement that for the guitar niche, right? It's more for broader channels that are getting sponsorships from like where there really are tens of thousands of dollars floating around for sponsorships.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I do not believe there's any guitar YouTubers out there that are getting paid $10,000 per video. I don't think that's right at all.
The only thing I could think of would be if there was some celebrity endorsement that would wind up on a channel. But even then, I don't know who would. I just don't know how that would happen. So
yeah, and again, in the spirit of transparency, the Morgan Amps, they approached me about doing a video a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted to pay for the video, and I told them same thing. I'm not going to do a review or a demo of the amplifier, but there was a really cool idea for a video in there that I thought was actually going to be a cool video to make that would have featured the amplifier, but wasn't talking about how amazing this amp is. You need to go out and buy it. And so for that, I was like, okay, cool. Well, that'll be, $1,500 to make that video. And, I'll keep the amp, which I thought was fair for the amount of work and everything it was going to take. And they didn't agree on it. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that's, my rate would be in that $1,000 to $1,500 territory for a fully produced video on my channel, like I normally do, how I want to do it. I cannot imagine somebody out there is pulling down $10,000 for a YouTube video. There's no way.
They would have to like shoot it with red cameras and like,
like
ridiculous. It debuts at IMAX or something.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to another topic, and this one's kind of quick, just because we were talking about the Amplified Nation thing. Whenever I first played a clone, it made me want a clone. And now that you've played a Dumble clone, one day, if you could make it happen, would you buy a Dumble?
No.
No?
No.
No?
No. No. It's too much money, man. It's just, I get it. A lot of my favorite players in the world have played Dumbles, and I get that as a piece of history and as a piece of collectible, whatever. $100,000, $70,000, $40,000 is too much money. For me.
But okay, what about this? If he would make you an amp, it would still be expensive, but I know for a fact if you can buy an amp from him, it's not that much. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not that much.
Sure.
Then would you do it?
What is a lot?
I don't want to speak out of turn. Let's say
ballpark it.
Well, let's just throw a number out there. Something that's unattainable for most people, but if you worked really hard, you could do it. It's like a car. Let's say $20,000.
For a Dumble, like an actual Dumble that Alex Dumble built for me.
For you, yeah. Like not right now, like years down the road.
Yeah. 20. Yeah, 10 to 20 I could see.
I'm going to text Tilly right now.
You're almost sure to have, like, that's a good investment.
Right.
I think. If you can get into one of those amps for 10 to 20,000, hell, $25,000 for an actual Dumble built by him, authenticated, the whole thing, then yeah, man, because as soon as he stops making amps or not to be morbid, whenever he passes away, like everything, it's like, okay, there it is. That's the number of Dumble amps that exists. Yeah. It's done. Right? And then everything starts to go up with that. So you're almost certain to at least not lose your money.
No,
you know what I mean? If you ever had to get out of it. So yeah, I could see that. But to want to aspire to own the Overdrive Special that like Keith Urban and John Mayer owned, and to pay, I mean, you know the amp I'm talking about.
I've played it, yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, $150,000. Did that amp actually sell for that?
I don't know if that one did or not. I know the guy that owns it, and I know he moves around a lot of stuff. So I don't know if it sold or not, but yeah, I mean, of all the Dumbles I've played, which have been more than a few, there are a handful that I like went, okay, what could I do? You know, the one at Songbirds, it was so good. I played
the combo?
One. Yeah, I played one of Joe Bonamassa's. This was like one that was his. He sold it and then he bought it back, and I think he's touring with it now, or he has it. Another combo. That one was incredible. But in all honesty, I would rather have a 2-rock. But
okay, so that comes up. So all right, let's turn the question around on you. $60,000 for the combo at Songbirds. $60,000.
I would figure out a way to make it work. If like the house is paid off, you know, there's money in the bank for the kid, like that sort of thing. Yeah, sure, why not?
See, I think that's okay. Yeah, because you're assuming, right? Like, if you're even answering this question, you know, because it's so easy to sit back and just say, well, it's not worth it. Oh, amp is worth $60,000, blah, blah, blah. It's like, right. Well, no, objectively, if somebody is willing to pay $60,000 for that amplifier, then it is worth $60,000. You may not like it, but that's what that amp is worth to somebody. I can't afford $60,000 for an amplifier.
Neither can I.
Right. So on one hand, it's like kind of not for us to have this conversation, right? Because we're not even in the ballpark, right? We're not invited to the party.
Right.
But even for me, thinking about like, okay, so you're earning probably a couple million a year, right? In order to be able to actually afford something like that, to truly afford it, you're earning a few $1 million a year at least. You've got some other stuff, and you're looking at $60,000 to $70,000 for an amplifier. Even at that place, for me, if I put myself in that position, I don't know, man. You can do a lot with $60,000.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, like it would be. I mean, that's just dreaming money. And honestly, if like I was gonna buy something, it would not be a Dumble. I would try to get a Burst or something like that. But even then, that's like just even more money. But I don't know. Like, to me, I'm very much like that. Like, I never, I didn't feel complete until I got the Klon, and now, like, I have it. Like, that is checked off my list. Every now and again, I think about selling it because I can make a lot of money on it. But I know I shouldn't. That would be really dumb. But you know, anytime like the R9 I have totally, you know, scratches the itch for a Les Paul guitar, but it's not a Burst. And
right.
Like, I'll never have one, so I just have to be happy with it. But, you know, I think a lot of people are kind of like me in that regard, and a lot of people are like you. But for me, it's just like, I want the thing, you know, I want it.
I mean, there definitely is. There's a thing that you feel like when you actually play the real thing, and it's just a psychological effect, right? Because objectively, like, it's just I wonder how many times I've said objectively in this episode. If you're drinking at home, if you're playing a drinking game, you're hammered.
Trying to put a counter up.
35 years ago, I could have called Alex Dumble up like I would call Fred from Divided by 13 up and order an amp. And they were expensive. I mean, they were what, like $2,500 back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were attainable, and that's why a lot of the players had them. A lot of the top players had them because it's like, well, this is the best thing, right? Like this is the best thing out there. This is the best sounding thing for what Larry Carlton or Robin Ford's trying to do, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you're right. When you play the real Dumble, there is this sort of mystique around it, and like, oh man, who else has played this amp? And
yeah.
I just think I'm not as I don't know how to say this. That doesn't like it doesn't move my needle that much.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I feel that. I very much get tied up in the history and the mojo and the vibe, and sometimes that can supersede the common sense of it all, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now there's a few things, and I guess I feel more this way about guitars. Like, if we were having this conversation about, like, a Blackguard Telly or 59 335, then we're kind of in a different place for me.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like a really good 59. I don't really have the burst thing as much. I mean, I definitely get it. They're great, but
how many have you played?
What's that?
How many have you played?
Oh, only one, and it sucked. It was a dog.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah. And I've played one Dumble, and it had been butchered, and it sucked. In fact, the first time I went to play it, it blew a transformer because it had been worked on by somebody, I guess, that didn't know what they were doing in the past, and it just didn't. It sounded bad.
Surprise.
So, yeah, it's I don't know, man. To me, I guess I'm more pragmatic. I see guitars in amps and everything as tools. And so for me, it's like I look at the Amp Nation, for example, and I'm like, that's killer because you can do the Dumble thing to whatever, 90, 95% accuracy, whatever number you want to attribute to that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
For $3,000, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. But
for a hand-built, hand-wired amp that does the Dumble thing and sounds really good, yeah, okay, that's worth it to me. $3,000, totally worth it.
Yeah, whenever I got the Klon, because we talked about this after I got it, you were like, is there a thing? Is it really a thing? And there really is. It's like, it's so funny getting your hands on the real thing.
I'm still not convinced though.
Well, I will show you.
To be fair, the only time I played your Klon was through your Boss battery-powered practice amp. Yeah. And even then, dude, this was so funny. Over at your house, we were like playing guitars. You're like, dude, even through this, it's not a Katana, right?
Yeah,
it's a little Boss.
It's a Katana Mini.
Yeah, the little battery-powered solid state thing. You plug a Klon up to that little thing, and Zach was telling me, he's like, dude, even through this amp, man, there's a thing with this amp. And I was like, I don't know, man.
I think there is.
It's hey, man, look, here's the thing about this stuff though. This is part of why I love guitar and I love the guitar community, and why I love gear is it's not necessarily about the gear itself. It's about being able to have these conversations and these relationships with people.
Yeah.
Like you and I are different on this. Mm-hmm. And I love that, right? I think that's why we get along. It's like I would not want to hang out and talk with me about gear.
Right, yeah. Always being in agreement's boring, but yeah, guitar is like, it's just like being a comic book nerd or any sort of nerd, and like it is fun to like really connect with someone. Like I get so excited when I meet someone. They're like, I play guitar. I'm like, oh really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So again, I'm not convinced. I'm pro clone. Well, to an extent. We should also say cloning, when it's not taking away from the original builder and the original person, right? Like if Dumble was still out here trying to like make a living building the amps and everything, and there were all these people cloning what he was doing, and it was taking away from his business as like a single person building amps, then to me it's a little bit different. But
yeah, well, I don't have much of a leg to stand on because I make the Mjolnir, and Bill's still doing his thing. But you know, it's like with stuff like that, people are always, if they want a Klon, they can get one, and nothing I make is going to convince them otherwise.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's no beef on you or any of the other dozens of pedal manufacturers that build Klon clones, because the original, what everyone's after are the original Klons, and Bill Finnegan's not doing those. He's doing the KTR, which is not. I owned one. It's not an original clone.
Right. He's apparently trying to bring back the big box, which I think he should. I think absolutely he should, and he should sell them for like $800 or something, and he will sell them all day long, forever. Amen. I would buy another one. You know, like I think he totally should. So I don't know.
See, now that's an interesting thing, because even at that, like, okay, you can have a Klon 2.0, and let's just assume it's like it's the right box, it's the right parts, it's built by Bill, and you're like $800. I'm like, no. I think, but again, this is our difference. To me, it's a tool.
Right. Yeah.
Right. The Klon thing is a great sound. It's a great tool to have in your toolbox. I would buy a Mjolnir over the $800 Klon, I think. Maybe not. To be fair, I mean, I'm speaking out of two sides of my mouth. I bought a Tonebender Mark 1.
Right.
It's around here somewhere. It was $1,000 pedal.
Right.
$1,100 after taxes. So, you know, I'm just full of shit. You guys don't listen to me.
I think a lot of people are like me, and they don't gig and probably have no prospects for a gig, and they get tied up in that, like, oh, I can have the thing. It's like why the Seriatone is so widely popular. But I totally get what you're saying. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm just firing from the hip here, I guess. You know. Speaking of guitar, should we play a little bit?
We can try.
What did you? Because you told me you were set up to play something. What did you have?
Well, I just hooked up things. I didn't like prepare a song or anything.
No. I mean, like, you were talking about a piece of gear or something, right?
Oh yeah. So I did get a bunch of questions. I posted a question poll thing on Instagram.
Yeah, let's do a little Q&A here.
Well, and most of it was like a little too open-ended for us to do, but one thing was like how to make any gear like kind of reflect your sound. Like, how do you make something your own?
Ooh.
Which that's a long conversation, but like I think the one thing I've learned with pedals is don't play the pedal, just let it accent what you're doing. So, yeah.
I think it comes from time spent just developing your sound in general. And that's going to come from a few different places. It's going to come from, your physical time spent on the instrument. It's going to come from what you're listening to and what you're letting influence you. And it is going to come from the gear that you play.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for a long time, I played Vox-style amps. Like this Morgan behind me. That's a 2014. And that was my main gigging amp for about 5 years. And playing that amp for so long and getting used to its response changed how I play guitar. It changed the chords that I would go for.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff.
One of the things that really inspired me to like get better was playing amps that didn't have any reverb, didn't have anything.
Yep.
And now, like, honestly, when I practice, I don't even usually have much in the way of like spatial effects. I have a delay on my little mini board I set up, but
right.
You know, I feel like that is one of the best ways to figure out what you want to do. You know, unless you just want to use effects to create sounds. Just figure out how you want to play without any help.
Right. Well, and I can't get away from the reverb. I tried. I made a video about it not too long ago about like practicing without reverb, not hiding behind it.
Yeah.
And even now you can tell I've got some.
See, that's spring. A lot for me.
What's that?
That's a lot, in my opinion.
Oh, see, to me, that's just a little bit. Like, that's just a touch to me. But I just like it, man. You know, like I like that.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of the people that I liked and that I wanted to sound like, they used reverb.
Yeah. So I've got some just going, like, it's off on my amp. I just have it going through the aux.
Oh, that's real short.
Yeah, it's just like a little room sound, but I have a DM2 Waza.
Yep.
Really like far in the background.
Yeah.
And even that's a lot for me.
But so that brings up a good point, is like, if you're going to have either a delay or a reverb, get a delay.
Yes.
Way more useful than a reverb. You can do so much with a delay. You know, reverb is a nice to have thing. A delay, I think, is a need to have thing for guitar players.
Absolutely. I think it's totally a necessity.
And learn how to use it, man. Like, learn how to do not just your dotted eighths and all that kind of stuff, but learn how to use it to, you know, mimic double tracking. Learn how to add modulation to widen your sound. Learn how to have it help fill out the back end of a solo. Like, you know, use your different delay sounds, your repeats and modulation. Like, really learn how to use a delay.
Yeah. One of the things I get asked a lot is like, where do I put things? It doesn't matter. Like, just figure out what you like, you know? So what do you have going on over there? Do you want to play some sounds and let me hear some stuff that you got going?
Yeah. So I'm just playing through my board here. And I'm going through this Victory Sheriff 22 right now. I don't know if you can see that right above my head there. This is actually like the only Marshall style amp that I own, and it sounds really good. I'll turn off the reverb here. That sounds really good to me.
That's just the amp?
Yeah, that's just the amp.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm going into the two notes, the Torpedo Captor X. So you're getting a little room sound from the Captor X. And that's a good example of like learning to use your effects like that. Just that amount of room sound is helping to widen the guitar's image. And it's not something you hear while you're playing, but when you're, you know, doing single note stuff, it really, really does. To me, it makes it sound way better.
Oh, yeah. No, that sounds good.
And I've got shameless plug. You guess what this is? That's the closest thing to a pedal demo video I'll ever do.
I'm gonna have to make more because they do sound really good.
Dude, they sound really good. I'm telling you, like that's, to me, that's like based off of a blues breaker, right?
No.
Is that your? Okay, cool.
No.
Well, never mind. Just forget I said that. Yeah, so it's like a blues breaker. You know, I'm pretty sure.
But totally not.
I'm gonna go straight to the gear page and just talk about like, yeah, it's a blues breaker clone. That's really all it is.
Yeah, it's like a hard clipping thing. I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's pretty sweet. You know, if you like shit.
Yeah, I've just got my Victoria. I'm just going through the aux and with nothing on. It's really quiet in my headphones because I think it will bleed into the mic, but I've just got my Waza delay, a Timmy, a tube screamer, and then a Thorpe flanger. So I was really digging the Timmy today. I mainly use like overdrives as really low gain boosts.
Yeah.
But with the screamer on top of it. I know you probably hate that. But
I don't hate it. Okay, so I've got my Timmy on my board here too. Check this out. So I use my Timmy as a medium gain thing. So it is adding some gain from the pedal. So that would be like a good rhythm tone. Well, heavy rhythm tone. I would actually back off the volume a little bit. And then, but when you stack that with the Olympus, now we've got it like a... And even into that amp, which is a little dirtier than I normally run, like that's still a good lead sound. And one of the ways I like to look at a good distortion or overdrive sound is by playing chords. How well do those intervals hold together? Like there's a little too much low mid in there right now, which means I would probably like pull that out of the amp and pull the bass back out of the amp.
Right.
But you can still hear all those chord tones really well. And that's with 2 medium gain overdrives stacked up, you know?
Yeah. And I just play a little different because usually like the amp sound would be just like where I would start. And I probably wouldn't turn on a pedal for the most part. And again, it might have a little bit more push if I was like really playing. And then the Timmy would be like my one more. And then the Tube Screamer would just be for like a solo boost. I would not leave that on because in a band mix that would make, you would just immediately hear that.
Yeah.
And then with the flanger, you get.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my Univibe here. By Univibe, I mean the Mobius. And that's just the amp. With a little slapback. So like awesome. That's my go-to. That's no reverb or anything. That's my go-to sort of adding ambience with a delay. And that's a lot of slap, to be fair. Yeah. But like, that's way more slap than I would normally use. But you could tell it is kind of acting as a reverb there a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I just kind of tweaked my delay to kind of do something similar with the flanger on. Super 80s.
Yeah. So I just brought mine down. Now that's more reasonable, you know?
Yeah.
It sounds more like a room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can get into like that with the Univibe. Chet should have used a Univibe, I feel like.
He should. He absolutely should have.
He would have been way more popular with a Univibe.
Yeah. They would have had those statues of him downtown Nashville with like a Univibe, like molded in brass on the floor.
Oh, Jesus. Actually, that is one of those things that's on my list of gear to own. Is a real, I want a real deal great Univibe.
Like
an
old one?
I'm going to go with Zapata and go Univibe shopping, I think, pretty soon.
Like a Shinny? Like a real...
I don't know. I mean, it needs to be something I can travel with and not feel terrible about. So probably not an original one.
Yeah.
But something that has the feel and the sound of an original one.
Man, there's a few out there. But the old ones they're so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, really want one really bad. All right. Well, there you go, everyone. That seems to be it. We got any more topics or questions to cover here?
I think we're good for today. And next time we'll plan ahead, and maybe if we play something, we'll do something, or I'll do something more interesting.
We'll do something more constructive. Anyways, well, let us know what you guys thought about what we talked about today in the comment section down below, especially the payola thing. I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks about that.
Yeah.
Know?
And you can always email us, dippedintone@gmail.com.
Yep. Yep. We got some emails to catch up on for next week's episode. Thanks, guys, for watching. Subscribe here on YouTube. And now I guess you can subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. So do that. And leave us a fine rating and review. That actually really helps the podcast out. If you leave a rating on iTunes, that gets us higher up in the search ranking. So
just listen to what he says and do what he says, people.
My whole life is worrying about SEO. So, and also check out the Patreon down below, linked, where all the other shit is linked.
It's all down there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, guys.